In this short video, I'm going to show you how to service a Dyson DC33. We first start by removing the bin assembly. And the filters. To remove the exhaust filter, there's a catch here which comes off and that lifts straight out. Next filter is here, so you just have to press that button and pull that back, and there's the filter. And this filter just comes straight out like so. That needs a bit of a clean up. Put those to one side. Close that up. Now on these upright Dysons you have a inspection pipe, which is this one here. So if you push those in and lift that up, you can see if there's any blockages in there or in that tube there. You also have another inspection pipe, which when you lay the Hoover forward, you will see is just on the back here. So if you push that little catch there and pull that off, that tends to be where money or anything like that that you might hoover up, if it's heavy, it will sit in the bottom of this tube and it won't actually get sucked up into the bin. So if you've hoovered up something like a clip or a 20p piece or something, it helps that it's see-through, you can see, but quite often you'll see a blockage or find a blockage in this tube here. This is a clutch model DC33, and this here is the clutch. The clutch is a dial which has to engage into the on position as you tilt it. So if you watch it as I do this, you'll see that that dial goes forward into the on position. Now sometimes, if the clutch isn't engaging properly, the belt won't go around. So when it's in that position, if that dial is still there and it hasn't engaged properly, you might need to either replace the clutch or just engage that manually by hand so that the brush under here can start going around again. In this instance it engages okay, so providing the belts are all okay and the brush is going round, then that shouldn't be a problem in suction. Now it should still be picking up, but the brush might be a little bit built up with cotton and wool and all that sort of stuff, and that might need a clean up. Right, I'm just going to remove the base plate. As you can see, and what's evident in this one is the brush is in definitely need of a clean up, so this needs to come out. Right, to remove the base plate, use a fairly big flathead screwdriver, and that just locates in here, and you turn it 90 degrees, and there's 3 of these. There's another one here in the centre and one here. Now you can see yours is quite dirty as shown in this video. You might want to remove this cover somewhere where you don't mind getting dirt, because a lot of stuff's probably going to fall out. I'm going to vacuum with my other Dyson most of the dirt out of here, and I'll clean up the floor as I go, but you might want to be wary of your carpets. And there we go, definitely. The next step is to lift the belt so that we can remove the brush. Now I have a special tool for this which saves you wrestling with the belt with a screwdriver. It's going to be difficult to show you how this works while one hand's holding the camera, but you'll be able to buy these from our website if you wanted to make your life easier. That goes over there like so. And you use the other prong to pull the belt onto here and here, and then that allows you to just pull the brush out. There's the belt in position on the tool. Now this should just wow, it's not a good way. If yours looks like that, that's severely going to affect the agitation of the brush from the carpet and potentially affect how well it's picking up. So now the belt can come off here. Next thing to do once you've got it to this stage is just to check that you haven't got any blockages in this tube here. Now you can pull that off like so and just check, or you can leave it attached and just have a quick look in there, and if it looks like there's anything in there you might be able to just prise it out with a screwdriver. My customer actually reported in this instance that the hose was damaged, so to lift the hose off this model, you just have to pull this bit out the top here and then press that, and that releases the bottom bit, and now that whole handle can come out. To release the actual hose off the bottom, just need to pull this little latch back here and lift. You may wish to go and buy a new brush and new filters, however I find they tend to clean up okay. The filters were just dusty with bits of hair, they've vacuum cleaned up nicely. This filter here, which goes in the top under the casing there, is a filter which collects the carbon from the brushes of the motor. So that's why it goes as a sort of a dark grey, black colour. Again, that's vacuum cleaned up okay. The brush, I tend to just cut all the big bits off, and I have another vacuum cleaner to remove it, or you can just pull it off. But if you did want to replace your filters or your brush, then we will have some in our online shop where you can purchase them. But for this, I'm going to leave them as they are and just clean this up a bit. That's the brush cleaned up, and the filters are now cleaned up. So this filter can go back in here. That just has to click down. This filter here goes back in, and that just sits in there, so it's in there, so it's a bit almost flush, like that. And that. Clips back in there. You have to make sure that this locates in that cutout there. That's in. Right. Next thing to do is the bin, which I took off earlier. On the DC33, you push that latch to empty it, and then this button here releases the bin in the top half. Like so. Now all I'm going to do here is hoover out the loose pieces from that. Clean out all the bits that get stuck in the grill. I'll bash it a couple of times to get any loose pieces out from inside, and then just vacuum it up. You're not really going to gain much by taking the top off on one of these. Right, once it's all cleaned out, as much as you see fit, obviously you can see a bit of dirt around there, but that doesn't matter so much. It's not going to affect the performance. I've cleaned the brush, I've cleaned the base plate tray as much as I can to get all the loose pieces off. The brush can now go back on, so I've reattached the tool and I've pulled the brush belt out onto those prongs. So now this can just go back. Now when the brush goes back on, there are these locators at the side here. Now they sit up against this bit here. Alright, just gonna take the tool off and then locate the brush in the right position. Right, the brush is now on. Once the belt goes onto the brush, just make sure that the brush isn't caught under these little runners here. The brush has to turn with the belt going either in the inside of those two prongs there, and they run parallel with the groove between the belt and the side bit. So make sure that runs nice and smoothly. Now the base plate can go back on. So that's the top of the base plate. It just has to click over there. And then these bits right, the base plate is now on. It can be a bit fiddly. The key to getting it on in the right position is, as I said, about these locators on the sides here. Once they are resting in the right place either side of the brush on the little shelf bit, then this should go on quite easily without too much gap between here. So once they're fairly flush, here and here, you can use a screwdriver to just turn them back 90 degrees so that it locks it in place. And you see the brush is nice and clean now. This wasn't blocked up, that's been checked and cleaned. The other inspection pipe's been checked and cleaned. Changed the hose. With regards to the bin, as I said a moment ago, the top bit didn't really need to come off. So long as the bin bit comes off, you clean up all around the grill, knock it a few times, you'll see all the dust come out from the centre, and all the loose pieces then can just be put in the bin, vacuum cleaned up if you've got another vacuum cleaner. And there we have it, that's a serviced DC33.